2, 1.
Was that the 3, 2, 1? Or was
Well, one way or another, we are live.
We are live. Nice. So, Merry JavaScriptmas, everyone. We'd love to hear from people in the chat. Please let us know where you are in this world and how it's going. I just verified that we are actually live by looking at the YouTube stream that came in my ear, so I was a little bit confused. Anyway, I'm Pierre, everyone. So nice to see all of you. This is Alex and Dylan. Please introduce yourself.
Oh, Dylan, after you, please.
Oh, that's very merry of you. Yeah, so Dylan, I did a lot of the JavaScriptmas, not all, but a good portion of them. You guys want to see me from some YouTube stuff, and currently work at Amazon and lots of cool stuff, lots of side projects. Very excited to be a part of the JavaScriptmas and the Scrimba family and talk about what's next.
Awesome. And I'm Alex Booker from Scrimba. I've been helping out with JavaScriptmas. I've recorded a few of the challenges, but not as many as Dylan. And overall, just helping out with the community at Scrimba. Welcome to the stream, everybody. It's crazy to see how many people are posting in the chat right now. People from all over the world. It's amazing.
And we're actually going to have a little competition throughout this, or many competitions. As always, in all of our live streams and everything we do these days, there's competitions. And this time, during this live stream, we're going to give away, at the end of the live stream, an annual membership on Scrimba to a person, to one of the people who have introduced themselves in the chat. So please go ahead and do that. We'd love to hear like where you're from, what you're going to eat tonight if you celebrate Christmas Eve. What else do you want to know, guys?
Dylan, please.
Go ahead. I was going to ask, what do you guys eat? Like I'm doing like non-traditional. Like I'm going to do like a lobster dinner this Christmas, which is kind of non-traditional. Wow. Like what do you guys roll with?
So we're eating, which is what it's kind of ribs, but it's lamb meat. So it's called pinnekjøtt, traditional thing from the west coast of Norway. It's really, really good, but it's super salt because it's been dipping in salt, or lying in salt for like half a year. So you have to water it out for 24 hours unless you want like a salt shock. It's really good.
Nice.
I'd love to try that. This year we have, well, unfortunately we can't spend Christmas with all of our families and friends like usual, having a much smaller Christmas dinner this time with a few vegetarians. So we're actually going to make like a cashew nut roast and homemade gravy with homemade vegetable stock and that kind of thing. But I'm most excited and nervous, I think, about dessert because I'm going to try and bake a panettone, which is like an enriched dough. It's like a very Italian sort of traditional Christmas dessert bread, and it's quite difficult to make, I think. So I hope it turns out okay.
Nice. But you guys celebrate tomorrow, right? Christmas Eve isn't really the day you celebrate.
Yeah, so my family, traditionally what we do is like we would open like, it's sort of like a preview. So you get like one present that you get to pick out, right, on Christmas Eve. Mm-hmm. And you know, now, I mean, I'm 33 years old, so I'm living alone. But it's like, I'll open up all the presents I want. But that's usually it. And then Christmas morning, you wake up and Santa has come to town, and then you open up the rest of the presents.
Nice.
I have a funny story about that, actually, because when I was a kid, probably, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago now, something like that, we had the same exact tradition, or at least my brothers and I convinced our parents to let us do it. And I opened one present and it was like a, DVD shaped or console game shaped package. And I opened it up and it was like a PlayStation 2 game. And I was like, no, we don't have a PlayStation 2. Like Santa did. I was really young at the time. It might have been a PlayStation 1. I was like, oh, we don't have a PlayStation 2. What the hell? Santa got it wrong. And so I think my parents were kind of forced to let us open up another present, which was like a huge present for us at the time. We got like a new games console to share. Nice. So yeah, cautionary tale. Don't let the kids open anything they might not be able to use till the next day.
And not the PS5 game until you've gotten the hand of the PS5, which is basically impossible these days.
Yeah, that's true. That's probably harder than all the challenges combined, I feel like.
Nice. All right, so it's 3:01 here. Should we just get going with the program and the agenda, or do you want to give people a bit more time to settle in, Alex?
If you don't mind, Per, I'd love to just like skim through the chat because there are so many messages going by. We have 200 people in the chat right now, which is amazing. I just want to say thank you again, everybody, for not only participating in JavaScriptmas, but also joining us here on Christmas Eve, no less, to join us in the Scrimba JavaScriptmas live stream.
For sure.
You know, I have to say I'm feeling a little self-conscious. So I shaved yesterday, and both of you have some fantastic beards going on, and I feel like I'm the baby face. So it's not like we could have been. If I had got the memo, we could have all looked on point.
Yeah, it's a bit of last-minute planning here from Scrimba's side. We have to take some self-criticism for that.
I mean, I'm seriously trying to. I wish, does YouTube have a feature to throttle the chat ever so slightly, because I'm overwhelmed. There's just so many messages flying by. And I'll tell you what, Per, maybe we just get started with the presentation, and I'll try and pick out some interesting messages from the chat for us to maybe talk about as we go along.
Yeah, awesome. Just looking at 10 random messages. We have people in Atlanta, in San Jose, in Cincinnati, in India, right. Malaysia. Amazing. So like all over the world. So
two people from Canada back to back. That's awesome.
So let's see.
All right, Per, take it away.
Yeah. All right, everyone. So thank you very much for showing up. It is truly amazing to see all of you here. Welcome to JavaScriptmas. This is our an experiment, basically. We decided to do at the end of November, just like thinking, we should have a calendar, probably, an advent calendar. In 3 weeks, the team worked super hard. Dylan helped out with challenges, and we finally were able to launch this. And we've just been insanely impressed by what we've seen on Twitter. Over 30,000 submissions throughout the month. So that's amazing. And so today we are going to do a couple of fun things. First of all, as many of you might be here for, we're going to hand out the grand prize of a lifetime of Scrimba and $1,000 in cash. But before that, we have some other things on the plan. We're going to have a look at our upcoming courses. So those of you who are interested in continuing on learning on Scrimba after this is done can see what will launch over the next couple of months. And we're going to have all of you decide on a course. So we have a few ideas of some courses we want to make, but we want to give you the opportunity in this stream to decide which one we're going to make. We're going to look at some submissions, of course, some of the awesome ones we've seen throughout the month. And Dylan is going to launch his clean code course, which fits really well now because there's some like really important mechanisms or principles to learn there, which I think many of you will or will kind of make you look at the challenges and maybe your solutions in a new light with some clean code principles. So I think that's a perfect course to launch today. We're going to solve the final challenge and pick the winners. And you could say I'm saying both chat winner and grand prize. The grand prize is, of course, the $1,000, not $10,000. We're not that rich, but $1,000 and a lifetime of Scrimba, but also a chat winner. And that is because we want everyone to introduce themselves in the chat, and then we're going to pick a random person who has introduced him or herself at the end of the stream and give that person a 1 year of Scrimba. So that's $150 worth of membership right there. So go ahead, if you haven't done it already, make sure you do that. That's super simple. Just who you are and some extra information about yourself if you want to. We'd love to see that because it's so cool to see all of you, all the diversity we have here. Yeah, so go ahead and do that. And yeah, should we just move on to the poll, Alex?
Yeah, let's do it.
So the way we do this poll is by something called straw poll. And actually, before we do that, maybe we should talk a little bit about last time we did it, when we had this poll, because as you can see here, we'll share the link in the chat very soon. But what we do is that we ask all of you to give one vote on a course on a list of 5 courses. And last time we had the unit testing winning with a landslide, the unit testing course. And what is so cool is that the person who's going to create, or who has created that course, is of course Dylan Israel. So Dylan, it's not fully ready. We're not going to launch it exactly today, but it's coming very, very soon. Do you want to take it away and just explain a little bit about this course?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm very big on testing. As someone who's worked at organizations where unit testing hasn't been part of sort of the way you write code and has, it's one of the best things you can do to lower your stress levels and be able to deliver features fast, right? It really makes sure at the end of the day that you can be confident and raise that level of code confidence. And a lot of people are looking for that sort of next tier of developer, that like, how do I go from a junior developer, an aspiring developer, to a good junior, and a good junior to a good mid-level and senior? And the unit testing is fantastic for that. And we sort of introduced you to a little bit of it in the JavaScriptmas challenges, where we had the test suite running in the background, and you could see like, oh, hey, my solution worked. Now, imagine if you took that idea and you applied it to your entire project, where now you can change your code without worrying that something's going to break and you have to regression test the whole thing. So the introduction unit testing is going to teach you some of the high-level principles of unit testing that you can apply to any project. I'm really excited about it because I think this is one of the spaces that there's not a ton of content on, and like this is going to be something that Scrimba is going to, that integrates in Scrimba very well. I'm pretty excited, and I think a lot of people are going to benefit from that and really become a better developer at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think when we discussed this, you also talked about like the benefits of knowing testing in a job interview and when you're talking to senior developers.
When I get interviewed and when I give interviews, one of the number one skills people are looking for are like, do you do clean, how do you write your code, and how do you test your code? And what that question being asked is oftentimes to see like, hey, do you do unit testing? Do you write clean code? How does that work into your flow? And those are the things that, maybe as a junior level developer, they might be a little bit more lenient, but definitely if you are an aspiring developer trying to get a junior level role, if you know clean code and you know unit testing, you're going to stand out. You're going to get noticed. You're probably going to get the job potentially. And as you go and you try to go to the mid or senior level, these are things that are really going to define you as a mid or senior level. Just because you have a year or two of experience doesn't necessarily make you a senior level developer. But understanding testing, understanding clean code, these are the things that you'll start catching the attention of the hiring manager, of the senior dev that you're going to be working with, because those are going to be the things that they care about.
Awesome. So pay attention to your inbox, people, because that course will definitely be announced with an email soon. Let's move on then and actually do another straw poll this time. So I'm going to bring this one up here, and I want to share this in the chat. So check out the chat now. I've shared the straw poll link. Maybe some of you can add it to the description as well. Or I don't know what you think, Alex. Is that needed, or
maybe pin it?
To be honest, like the chat is going so quick. I think we might have to do that.
Yeah.
And let's also post it 1 or 2 more times from the Scrimba YouTube channel. You can also maybe put the link on screen. I'm not sure the best way to do that in, but yeah.
I'll update the description as well, so you see that.
You might need to reload if you're watching at home, or if you're maybe watching on your Apple TV or Fire Stick or something like that. You can always pull the link up on your phone, vote on the poll, and Per, how about we look at the results coming in real time?
Let's do it. Totally. So here, let's look at the results. And we have Learn TypeScript as the current leader. We have Solid Principles coming behind, an Intro to Accessibility, and then Build Your Online Presence and Hack Your Career. So that's something we're going to
Hold
talk
on,
about a
hold
bit
on.
later.
It looks like one of them's catching up with the others. Like we've got build online presence that is changing quite rapidly. I remember last time we did this, I think Dylan, unit testing won by a landslide. It wasn't even close, right, Per?
Yeah, totally.
This is looking pretty close to me.
So we're going to at least solid principles and building an online presence. We're going to touch upon a bit later in the stream because you have some strong opinions on both of those still, right?
Yes. Yeah, I have strong opinions about a lot of things, but those two in particular.
All right. Looks like TypeScript is taking pretty significant lead here. That's interesting. And you're also, Dylan, the one who created the intro to TypeScript on Scrimba back in the days. And this is thought of as a more follow-up, a bit more advanced TypeScript.
Yeah, TypeScript has advanced quite a bit. I'm a big proponent of TypeScript. I think it should be used in every modern JavaScript project to date. And it also supports clean code of being more readable by its very nature. And so, like, I love TypeScript. They've been doing a great job expanding some of the functionality of it and making it a little bit more strict, which is like, one of the best things about writing code is sort of limiting yourself from making mistakes and writing. And some of the newer features of TypeScript really help sort of limit that. So if like you think about the solid principles in there, it's all about limiting the way you do things. If you think about writing pure functions, it's about limiting the way you do things. And because writing code is abstract and you're making it concrete, it's oftentimes you have to limit what you do, and TypeScript's great in that.
Awesome. So maybe we'll see another type. Sorry, go ahead.
Dylan, what would you attribute the popularity of TypeScript to? Because if I'm not mistaken, it was something that Microsoft released a while ago. And I think Angular had it built in quite closely, but it didn't really take off massively. In the last year, maybe year and a half, it feels like TypeScript and static type checking, whether it's with maybe FlowType, TypeScript, or a different one, it's really taken off. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think it's a couple things. One, I think JavaScript has just continually to skyrocket as sort of web apps have sort of become the de facto software development, right? And I think you're also now getting into sort of I think there's Angular took it on, and that got people started using it and started appreciating it. But now we're sort of in the second wave of major projects, and so you had the first wave that's sort of like people who are a little bit more ambitious and like, yeah, I'm gonna do TypeScript in my project. And now that they've done it and it's been successful, people are like, it's been proven. And now people are jumping in, right? And so it's just one of those items where you have so many success stories with it and people have used it in other projects that now they're jumping in. And it's like anything else. As you go and like write clean code and like you might do it in a project and then appreciate it. And then now it's just part of the thing that you do. And I think having people who have done JavaScript and then been forced to do a little TypeScript and then they go into it. Now they're like, oh, maybe I didn't jump in head first, but now I got my toes wet and it's actually really great. So it's sort of that second wave, I kind of think of it.
For sure. And maybe like, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know the most about this, but I feel like TypeScript can fall somewhere like it is a type checker, not a transpiler, right? So it's not exactly the same as something like Babel, which you might use with a React app. But in a lot of ways, they fit in the same part of the stack. So if you got used to using Babel, I think a lot of developers got over the hurdle of having to use a build tool for their JavaScript apps. Therefore, using static types with TypeScript, you could just as well use it, right?
Yeah. It's at the end of the day, it's like it all compiles down to JavaScript, right? But it goes back to this concept of limiting your chance for error, right? It's similar to, if you really want to think of it, it's almost like a spell check in your Word editor. Like if you, at the end of the day, when you go and you print your document, it is what it is. It's just going to be characters on a sheet, but it's going to stop you from making the mistakes then that you can then go and make your life easier. It's like testing. Like in theory, we probably shouldn't need to write tests because our code should work. But like that's also a fantasy land world that we live in. So we have these sort of checks and balances to make sure that we can have less bugs, because there'll always be bugs. But TypeScript supports that.
That's awesome. And so we've got your course coming up, Dylan. I'm really excited for that. What else do we have in the works, Per?
Oh, so we have a lot which is actually pretty ready, and many courses we've just started thinking about, and many courses we've started working on, but not fully ready. But let's have a look now at like some of the ones we know we're going to launch over the next couple of months. So the first one, which is super cool, is Anya Kubo, who probably a lot of you know already. She's taken a bigger and bigger part of on the front-end developer career path lately, and just online. She's been her popularity has been growing very much lately because of her like fun teaching styles. We're teaching people to build games in JavaScript mostly. And she's going to teach you, or basically give you a bunch of tips, 21 web dev tips for 2021. And that includes all the way from technical stuff to like how to set up your, if you want to start live streaming, which is a fantastic idea for beginner developers, which Dylan is going to talk more about later, and starting up a YouTube channel, how to do that technically and in a good way. So it's a very like holistic course of things you should think about when becoming a web developer in 2021. We also have Jad Khalili's course about building components in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So this is one of those courses that help you get those core skills, which you need if you are to graduate to React, Svelte, Vue, Angular, whatever. You need to know how to build stuff using vanilla JavaScript and just HTML and CSS. And this will help you with that. Of course, we have the long-awaited Instagram, building an Instagram clone in React by Carl Hadwin. So this is more or less like his course on Scrimba already, which is building a Netflix clone in React, which has become super popular. And people ask for more like that, so they can kind of build real-world projects that they can put in their portfolios. So excited about that one. And Anya is also working on a styled components course with React, as that is just skyrocketed. It's a way of styling your React apps that have become really popular. Like tons of big enterprise companies have adapted that methodology.
Oh, damn. It looks like Anya's been busy. I'm excited for all those courses. They sound awesome. The Build an Instagram and React course, is that, what technology stack is that going to use, Per?
So that's going to use React. It's going to use Firebase. As far as I remember, I think it's also using styled components. So you'll be exposed to that as well, because Carl is also a fan of styled components.
That's awesome. So, and I love that about Scrimba, how if you do the front-end career path, you almost learn a specific stack. I mean, you get the transferable skills you need if you want to learn another technology stack, whether it's Angular or something like that. But on the Scrimba platform, it sounds like you can transfer your knowledge from one module to another and keep building and keep adding projects to your portfolio. And I think an Instagram clone sounds pretty awesome.
Totally. The whole point is to have all the modules build on each other and actually learn things in parallel and then revisit them later on. So that's why we start not by teaching you HTML first, then CSS, then JavaScript. We do everything in parallel, because what you're basically learning is to build things. And we're just going to teach you the tools as you go and are able to build more and more complex things.
And I think a big part of that is like actually writing the code. Like, of course, you can pause the scrim and you can edit things. That's awesome. Everybody watching knows about that by now, I think. But it's also a case of challenging yourself, right? Like whether it's completing the challenges at the end of a module or participating in the weekly web dev challenge, or more recently, the JavaScriptmas, 24 days of JavaScriptmas. I mean, a huge inspiration to start this project was because one of the best ways to learn is to practice and to code and to have to get, sometimes it's good to get stuck, you know, because when you get stuck, you have to go and find the answers. When you apply them, it helps you remember them better. And by and large, 24 days of JavaScriptmas, it's been crazy. Maybe you can tell us a bit more about what that looks like in numbers.
Totally. So some stats. we have over almost 8,000 people. I think we were 7,600 last time I checked. It's probably a bit more now. That's great. I mean, this started with like us asking on Discord, hey guys, girls, would you be interested in a calendar? And people were like, yeah, that was mid-November. Now we're here with 7,600 people joined, and almost like I think on average 800-900 submissions a day, ranging from 600 to 1,200 submissions.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's like 30,000 or something in total. It's completely blew our minds. And of course, there's been a ton of prizes as well. There's been daily prizes. It's the main prize now. And as we went along, we also brought in some other external teachers like Danny yesterday, and he put on some extra prizes himself. So I think we've given around or handed out about 30 prizes in total.
That's crazy. Dylan, when you made the challenges initially, did you expect them to go this far?
Yeah, of course. No, no. I'm really glad to see people are enjoying this, and I really like the format of sort of a challenge every day, because I'm a big proponent that every day you need to code, every day you need to get better. It's just one step forward every day. Like, you know, it's that continued progression, one step, and I'm really glad to see people are doing it, because I'm a big believer that you have to reprogram your brain to sort of be a great developer and see problems differently. And some of these, you know, algorithm type problems that you're going through, you're solving problems, and like you start breaking them down in the smallest pieces. So I'm really excited and happy that people enjoyed it, and hopefully feel like by the end of 24 days of doing this, that they are in a much better place.
I really think that sentiment is shared among the community, because I think we've all been quite active in the JavaScriptmas Discord channel, where it's hard to reply to every message due to the volume, but we're always watching and enjoying what people have to say. And I saw a fair few people saying that actually the challenges were getting easier, not because the actual challenges were easier, but because they themselves were improving. And that's something to think about next year, Per, because we did kind of set out for the challenges to get a bit harder every time, but we also intended for people to get better every day as well. So eventually it kind of canceled itself out. But the fact that people are improving and feeling more confident every day, every week, that was amazing. Really proud of that.
Yeah,
and I gotta wrap up faster next year.
I think it's worth mentioning that, like, also when you get, like, this is a really cool thing that was just given away for free. Like, hey, go and enjoy and just have fun. And it's very much so in the Christmas spirit of like giving and you know, happy holidays. I really like that as well.
Yeah. Should we take a look at some of the awesome submissions we've had or we've seen?
Definitely. I'm really excited about this because, I mean, first of all, every submission that makes the tests pass or which you give your best effort is awesome. But some solutions do stand above the rest in some regards. And I mean, this is one of them. Like, this is one of the solutions, I think, from yesterday's challenge that Danny set forth, where we asked you to take an existing input component and to not, the challenge, as you'll remember, I think, is to implement the character count. So if you go past a certain number of characters, it turns red and you can no longer share the button. But as a bonus, Danny asked you to style it however you like. And this is really creative.
You see here, when it goes to like more than 140, the whole text turns red, the button is inactive, and it's just such above and beyond.
What happens if you press the tweet button? Does it do anything?
It actually, oops. Oh, did we find a bug?
We
found the bug.
That's so typical. Give it a reload.
Yeah.
In fairness, this came out before the introduction to unit testing course. So once that's there,
it did.
You'll be good.
And it's not TypeScript, so.
Yeah.
Oh, of course there's going to be problems.
But actually, I think the tweet button works. Yes.
Yeah, so this was like I worked with Danny a little bit on this challenge, and we had a cool idea. Like, what if when you press the tweet button, it actually opens a new tab with your tweet? And it's quite a clever use of the query parameter. But it's really cool that person. Can we see who implemented it, Per, by looking at the author in Scrimba?
So Dimitri. if you're in the chat, Dimitri, please let us know. Amazing job on this one.
Really cool.
We also have this really creative one right here, which is basically a terminal. So if you write, hey, I'm composing my tweet.
This is mad. This is like what, Twitter CLI, basically.
Yeah, it's like, oh, there it is. Yeah, I had to start it. Now it counts my characters. Yeah, let's see. Got to get to the 140 mark to get it read. Yes, and there it's read. And then after 140, it says this. Let's see what happens if we can't submit it. And it's actually even better than my terminal because here I can highlight and delete text like that with a noise, which annoys the hell out of me, the terminal. Oops. Oh, yeah, and it worked. The button again. That's a great growth hack, actually. Getting everyone who tries the app to accidentally tweet about Scrimba.
That's something to keep in mind for next time, definitely.
Yeah. And this one, this is so nice.
Do you know what? I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm not sure if Dimitri is in the chat, but by complete coincidence, Dimitri messaged me on Discord 10 minutes ago with a link to his JavaScriptmas solutions. It's Dimitri Frolov. So yeah, amazing job, Dimitri.
Oh. And I forgot to check on the terminal one. That's Mahmoud, Sami Muhammad Mahmoud. So great job on that, Mahmoud.
These are
if
so
you're
cool.
in the chat, please let us know. Yeah, and final one, Dave Alger. I recognize him from the community. Dave has been very active, and he.
Yeah, I'm so glad we're featuring Dave. That's awesome.
He did this amazing dice roll. Look at that. This was Cassidy's challenge.
That's some real CSS right there. That's like some grown CSS.
Dave should be teaching us.
Look at this. Let's have a look at this.
Wow. Yeah.
Look at this.
That is insane.
Whew. Yeah, Dave, we want the CSS course from you on Scrimba.
Yeah, I might have
and
to.
And you know what? The person, I think this was shared in Discord independently, but someone else picked up on how exciting it was. And they shared a picture of their solution, which was nice by all standards. It was a good solution. But then they shared it compared to a picture of Dave's. And they sort of recreated that meme, which is like you versus the guy she tells you not to worry about. And it was a picture of this.
That's good.
Yeah, I'd be worried if Dave was interviewing for my job.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on a little bit, because one thing that was so cool to see was that people not only shared, a lot of people shared for their first time something on Twitter, which is a huge step as a like newbie developers, getting comfortable sharing your code on social media and putting yourself out there. But some people also went like, oops, sorry, I'm slightly mixed up.
Whoa.
Spoiler alert.
There we are. Spoiler alert. Some people went above and beyond and really wrote articles about JavaScriptmas. And that's just, super cool. Let's have a look. This one here, Diana, she wrote this really nice story of like where she imagined she'd be in life at this point, and like where she is now, and feeling that she can like begin over and rethink her career and what she wants to do at this stage in life. She's in her 40s, and just a super inspiring personal story, which we kind of didn't expect to see when we asked people to go above and beyond and write about JavaScript as well. And that really caught fire on Hashnode, and it ended up getting like tons of likes and yeah, I don't know, likes or whatever you call it, but tons of reactions on Hashnode. It actually trended that day, I think.
That's amazing.
With all of our,
I featured this post a few times. Like, it was me who emailed everyone participating in JavaScriptmas, inviting you to submit a list of your solutions in order to earn a certificate and a Discord badge. By the way, if you've been building a list for that purpose, I'll be sending you an email about that shortly after this stream with an official submission link. But anyway, I was really keen to use Diana's example as inspiration. And since sharing it, we've had many more submissions that I mean, too many to feature, unfortunately. But anyway, great job, Diana. Super inspirational. And I think you probably help people write theirs. And that's a great reason to create content. You just never know who you might inspire.
For sure. And we have two more, which I want to highlight as well, because they've done something slightly different. We have Sekti here, who basically wrote an article per day on Dev2 with his submission. And just like a little bit of, not much, but just a little bit of highlights from his solution and sharing the solution in code. And it just goes to show that I think people should, like, if you're in doubt as to whether or not you should publish something, you should just do it. Like, you don't need to have a very like high threshold for publishing something. I know you, Dylan, you go live multiple times per week and just talk with the community and like don't really like, it doesn't have to be perfect to do it. We talked about that before the stream when you came along.
There's a lot of like leadership principles at Amazon that they talk about, and one of them is like, if you waited to launch something before when you felt it was perfect, you probably waited too long. And like, it's about getting something out there and showcasing it and having fun. And especially when it comes to content creation, like perfection is your own worst enemy because there's no such thing, right? So like, get out there, have fun, enjoy it, share it. And, that will fuel you. Like the first time I've ever met somebody who was like, hey man, thanks. I found your solution on YouTube and it really helped me learn X, Y, and Z. That was something that made me go create 10 more pieces of content. Right. And it's not only that, it makes me a better software engineer where I'm like, cool, like I'm teaching you something, so I'm reinforcing my learning. I really would love people to get out there and do it more often. And not only that, once people know that you're good at something, then one of the craziest things that'll ever happen in your life is like sometimes opportunities will start coming to you instead of you having to jump over walls to get to those doors. Sometimes the doors show up and be like, hey, do you want to open me? And that's a crazy thing that most people don't expect. But when you put yourself out there and let people know what you're about, stuff like that starts happening.
That's awesome. And that's why we teach people this, because it's kind of a cheat or a secret sauce for boosting your career. And you've seen this over and over again, right? In your jobs.
Absolutely. From my current role to my very first internship, where I remember getting this internship for like $12 an hour. Is a ton of money in California by any means, but it was like, yeah, we'll let you, like, we can see that you're creating videos, and it doesn't have to be like tens of thousands of subscribers and views. I think I had like 200 or 300 subscribers then, but it was enough for them to see that I was passionate, that I was trying to learn, and that would carry over to this internship that I clearly wasn't qualified for, but I was trying so hard to learn and grow. And it's been one of the better decisions, if not the best decision I've made in my adult life.
And do you see that effect later in your career as well?
Yes. I mean, as I've interviewed and opportunities have come to me, even how we met, right? Like reached out and said, hey, you have a YouTube channel, we're starting Scrimba, and we have some questions, and like we've connected for a couple of years now. And as I have interviewed for roles, people go, and my very first like real dev job, they were using like AngularJS and JavaScript, and I happened to have projects of me teaching that on my YouTube channel as I was learning it, and that was enough for them to be interested and to see me and like see, oh, this is a guy who knows this stuff and can be on the team well enough to make a video about it. This is our guy. Like, and that's how I really got my first dev job.
That's so cool. I feel that that's something we have to really highlight again and again to people, because here at Scrimba, you're learning online. You might not have like a big school behind you or a boot camp with a large career services platform, or you might not have a university degree. So you got to take those kind of the cheats that are available to you. And this is a great one that the overall majority of people who are learning to code do not do this. So even though you see a lot of content these days on Dev2 and Hashnode, it's easy to think that not everyone are doing it. But actually, I would bet that 95% of people are learning to code do not put their neck out there. So you get an edge if you actually do it.
Yeah, and it pays long term. It's not like some short term gain. It's not only will you get noticed, but you also network. You meet a lot of great people who, you start surrounding yourself with people who do similar things. And I whether it's when I've spoken at one conference, I have people there that I met from Google who wanted me to interview with them and do the Google Developer Expert program, to going on podcasts and meeting a lot of other people who are doing a lot of cool things that now they start think of you when those cool things happen, how you can partner up. And like, it's a lot of doors start opening and you get to display your skills. You can be the best developer in the world, but if someone doesn't know that you're a developer, it does no good, right? And so you start putting yourself out there, lots of things can happen.
Nice. And money speaks for itself here. And you've just got a job at Amazon. And I happen to know that your salary is pretty good. Can you share something?
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, you start working at the FANG companies, you usually start getting really good benefits and paychecks. And I won't talk exactly about what I'm making, but the average role at, if you were to go on like levels.fyi, is well north of 200. And as someone who is like delivering pizzas 5 years ago and like teaching himself how to code, I'm very happy. I have no complaints. This is I've only been developing for about 4.5 years full time as a software engineer. So there's a lot of great roles out there, and to go and get into that, even the shouldn't say even, but at that 6-figure mark in the States, if you work hard, you can get there. I've personally have been making 6 figures since about 2 years of my career. Like, you can get there very rapidly if you work hard and you learn things like clean code, solid principles, testing, all this great stuff. And you just take one step forward every day, one step forward.
And without a degree, that's
it.
Just a YouTube degree or an online hustling degree.
I learned in the streets. I'm about that. That code life.
Nice. So let's move on. I have one more article I want to go as well. So this is Michael LaRocca. He's an avid Scrimba Discord member who we talk to a lot, and actually turns into a community hero now, hasn't he?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, Michael's one of those people who is always active in Discord, trying to help other people, trying to better himself. And I think just embodying some of the things Dylan was talking about in terms of pushing himself and documenting what he's learning. And this is a really great example of that.
And as you can see, he's kind of done something else than the two others. He has his own domain. So it's not on Half-Node, not on Dev2. And it just goes to, or speaks to the fact that you can do whatever you want. You can have your domain. You can do it on Dev2, Medium. Doesn't matter. What matters is that you stick your neck out there. And he has a long post, showing his solutions, talking about the hardest challenges, and sharing his code, what he enjoyed. And just super cool. So check out that. We'll provide all these links in the show notes later, so that you can check them out for inspiration.
Shout out to Michael. He did a one article on me actually on his
really?
blog. Yeah,
that's great. All right, so let us now launch your course, Dylan.
Yeah, Introduction to Clean Code. So there's a couple things I harp on as like a software engineer. Part of our I'm a big believer of like, we have to protect the code because nobody else will, and it makes our lives easier. Clean code is all about making your code readable and writing better code. I even in the course, I affectionately call it Code Like a Pro, Clean Code. And that's because there's a lot of engineers who may have 10 years of experience, but they repeated that first year 10 times. I don't want that to be the average engineer. I want every year for you to get better. And Clean Code supports that. It's about making your life easier as a software engineer and being able to write code that you can come back to and understand later. There's like an old joke that when a developer once said, as they read through this code and as they're writing the code and they finish, they go, only 2 people understand this, me and God. And then 3 months later, now only God understands what this code does. And we're trying to avoid that. We want our code to make sense. We want it to be easy to work with, because 90% of the time you're reading it and you're going to be building features. You're going to be coming back. Your coworkers are going to be working on it. And, you can't remember thousands of lines of code. So we need to make it as readable, as understandable, and as extendable rather than modifying it. And it's a fantastic course. It's one of the things that I attribute to rapid acceleration in my own career, going from a junior to a senior very quickly. And I think this is something everyone should do and everyone should read. And I'm very excited because I don't think this is something that's talked about enough.
That's awesome. Should we bring up the URL and the page so that people can check it out immediately? So please stay on the stream, but I'm going to share it in the chat. There's the link.
So we can get that in the chat, and we can pin it to the chat as well. So you won't need to reload the page this time to see the description. You can just view it at the top of the chat.
Do you see my screen, Alex? So I can show the page. Yeah, there we are. So here it is. Do you want to talk a little bit about like the breakdown of the curriculum?
Yeah, definitely. So obviously, in any Scrimba course, there's going to be lots of challenges to reinforce and make sure that you're learning everything. We talk a bit as we jump into the course, like the reason behind these things and why it's important, right? This 1 hour course, it's the most important course that one of the things I like is having a mentor. And my mentor told me, learn clean code, learn testing, and like your career will accelerate. So if you have the energy to run fast and forward, this is one of the items that in a very short amount of time, you can really become a much better software engineer. And so we talk about proper variable naming, function names, magic numbers, how to avoid them, and magic strings, limiting parameters, naming and standardization in the code. We also talk a little bit about linters and how to apply it. It's one of those courses where it's going to be the first time that I think some of you are going to see some of this stuff. And it's going to start to change the way that you see your code. And we're going to talk about comments. One of the things that I think a lot of entry-level programming teaches you is comment everything. It's actually an anti-pattern. And we break that down as to why that is, what's a good comment and what's a bad comment, and how to avoid that. And with clean code, what you end up finding out is that if you're writing proper function names, if you're encapsulating some of your conditionals using variables and functions and following these patterns, you eliminate the need for maintaining comments. And by that very nature, shorten your code and make it more descriptive. Because if you think about things, as a basic example is, if you're writing a comment, what that is saying is that my code doesn't make sense. The code as it is so confusing that I have to comment it. And that's bad. And by writing clean code, you're writing readable code, which means that it reads nicely. You should be able to look at your code, go line by line, and it makes sense without having to throw something in there. And then, of course, we talk about what's next, which is a lot where I don't like to leave people at the end of the course. I want them to go and apply. But if you're interested in this, and you say, listen, I love this, I want to get better, we give some tips and tricks about what to do next and how to progress and all the great things that you can do to continue to grow.
So this is basically something you learn once, and then you get to reap the benefits again and again in every single code base you write throughout your career.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And as you go and you start working in a more professional environment, you can start impacting your teammates through pull requests or change requests, whatever you call them, and doing code reviews, and start to see these things, start to where it doesn't make sense and how to apply it. And there's so many great uses of it that you can start applying it directly in the code, that at the end of the day, it not only will your career progress, you'll do better and you'll make your life much easier, but it will make it less frustrating, which is the best part of any clean code, because you'll be able to much more quickly see patterns, much more quickly see things happening that you can then go and have a positive impact on the code base. Because if you're going to be working, let's just say 18 months on the same code base, you want it to be something you can work with, something that's easily worked with, and not something that you're looking at every single day and be like, what does this do? Oh my God, what does this do? And writing clean code, this is going to be something that you can apply. And as you move forward, it's going to start change. You're going to start seeing things and changing things as you go. And that will be when you know you've leveled up as sort of a developer. That'll be when you went from wherever you're at to one step higher. And it'll be one of those items that employers really value, that as you go and you're interviewing, you start mentioning about clean code principles and testing. These are things that are truly, as you're interviewing for mid-level, senior level roles, that you can go and just be noticed, and they'll want you, because not everyone has taken the time to go and, everyone's going to know how to code, but are you going to know how to code like a pro is a different thing.
So you're saying that this is basically clean code is one of those things which can be a secret sauce in the job interview, as with that, for example, blog you have, if you've written a blog or a YouTube channel or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those items that are going to get you noticed, and they're going to be like, this is somebody who cares about being a good developer. They don't just want to be a developer that gets in there. This is somebody who's trying to progress their skill set and is doing better and is going to be one of our better, engineers. And because it's not something that comes naturally, like a good, the difference between, in my mind, between a junior and a senior level engineer is that they both can code. The junior level engineer code works. The senior engineer's code will work tomorrow. And like, it's one of those items where you can start to, it's going to be much easier. And they know you're getting sort of a higher quality product at the end of the day from you as an engineer.
Nice. So let's see if I'm able to write clean code now that we're jumping on to solving the last challenge. I'm getting kind of nervous here, hearing all your talk about this, and me knowing that I'm actually a pretty sloppy programmer, to be honest. But I'll give it a shot.
We're all going to help each other out, right?
I appreciate that.
So what do we have here, Per?
So this is the final challenge made by Carla Coates, brand new Scrimba teacher who created this fun little challenge where you can see the GIF here, which kind of explains the entire thing. It's this tiny game where you are to click stop at the target number. And if you manage it, you get a prize. And if you don't manage it, you get, you get a losing text below it. So there's some asynchronous JavaScript involved here, a little complex actually. So I'm impressed to see so many of our elves actually solving this.
Yeah, I've not solved it personally, but I've played with some of the solutions, and it's actually a pretty fun game once you get it working.
Yeah, very addictive. Like you want to manage it. It's so hard. It's like 75 milliseconds.
Damn. But yeah, let's bump the font size up a little bit, and we can maybe try and solve this.
Sure. Let me see. I'm gonna do that. Where's the font size again on Scrimba? It's down here. We changed it.
Creator Scrimba here, everybody.
I don't think we need this. We can do. Is that okay now?
Yeah, definitely. More than okay.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So basically, Carla has provided the boilerplate code here, and there is a pushed variable which is set to true or false, which should be set to false initially and true when you hit the stop button. Mm-hmm. And that actually happens automatically here on button pressed.
I see.
It's setting it true. There's a target number, which is this number here, 54 in this case. The spinning element, which is actually the spinning wheel down here. Mm-hmm. And there's an event listeners set up and also a couple of functions. This one here is a little bit scary. It's a sleep function, which basically says when you do a wait sleep, this will make sure that the code pauses it pauses for 75 milliseconds and then continues. So it's an async await pattern where inside of asynchronous functions, you can do this kind of synchronous code. I mean, as you know, JavaScript is asynchronous. So just regularly, it'll just continue on and never pause. So if you have something that takes time, for example, talking with an API, you need to do promises or async await.
For sure. And it's not maybe as relevant in the browser in JavaScript, but if you try to sleep the thread without using asynchronous code, you'd sleep the whole app, because while the code is waiting to run, it wouldn't always run the other code too, whether it's like a hover effect or something like that.
Yeah. So, and then we have the set target interval that just chooses a random number between 0 and 100 and
if you reload the page now, will the target number be different every time, basically, due to the yeah, totally. Okay, so we know what we're working with at least.
Okay, so then let's see how to do this. So how I would approach this, which might not be, I think there are tons of more elegant solutions out there in the community than how I will solve this. But what I basically did was thinking that in the spin function, we at least need to count to 100. So you can do that in many ways, but one natural way and simple way to do that is just creating a for loop. And then if my number equals the target number when I hit stop, we will, sorry, what will we do then? We will trigger this stop function. No, sorry. I'm not really sure what we'll do. Obviously, I haven't prepared that much, but we'll have a for loop. Let's write that. Var e equals 0, I equals less or equal to 100, and then I plus plus plus. So we'll increment.
Mm-hmm. So, I think it's good, by the way, that if we struggle a tiny bit, I think that's fair, because I don't know about you, Dylan, but like I'm always struggling when I write code, and so I think it's more realistic that way.
Yeah. Sometimes I think people think like when they see these demos and like you do a YouTube video and it goes so perfectly, and then they struggle a little bit. It's like this is pre-recorded. Like it's I'm sure there's plenty of mistakes. A 1 hour tutorial probably took 8 hours to actually make. Like.
Yeah. So here, let's see that. Here we need to make a check to check if, so this is spinning the wheel, and what we need to check basically, if is every single time we increment this number, we need to check if I have pushed the button. And that is checked by seeing if the push is true. So if it is true, if pushed, actually we can just do this, right? If that equals to true, then we are going to trigger the stop. So I'll move this in.
And you're passing in the current number that we're currently stopping on, right? Yeah.
So that'll be everything from 0 up to and including 100. So that's if I'm doing that, we have to do some checkings down here in the stop function to see if actually the index or incrementer at this point is the same as the target interval up here. But we won't do that just yet, because I think it makes sense to just get the basic architecture of this little conditional here done, and then deal with the consequences later. Because if I haven't pushed the stop button, then we're going to trigger this await sleep thing.
Yeah. And you're probably going to want to break out of that if statement so it doesn't keep going, right? So like
that's
probably
in that.
Yeah. So that would do. That's when I've done this right here. So okay. So let's actually run this and see if it does anything. I like to do that. I console log like all the time phonetically when I write code. Let's see, running this. Yes, and you can see here in the console. Yeah, you just see the automatic console here.
Yeah, it's a little bit obscured by your like screen sharing message. Maybe if you
can I hide that one? Oh yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, cool, nice. Still see you.
Okay, so we saw that it worked at least, but let's see that what happens if I hit the stop. Yes, it stops. Nice.
Oh,
so
nice.
That means that this is executed when I click the button. And let's just double check what's actually going. Yeah, it's this one right here, which we looked at earlier. We've defined var pushed as a global variable, so it's accessible, and it's set to true. And that means that it's accessible here as well. And it flips to true. So it breaks the loop, which you saw, and triggers this stop, which didn't do anything. Here, what we then basically can do is check whether the incrementer equals to the target number. And target number, oops, stop, in this case 55. is, first of all, it's defined up here, and the value is set here, so automatically, and set to the target int should be available, since it's a global variable, should be available inside here as well. So what I then can do is if I, would you do a double equal or triple equal here?
I think double equal should be fine. If it's coming through the, so I think we're taking the value from the DOM, which is going to probably be a string, because we're getting it from the ID element. So unless it's a number input,
actually we're actually setting it first, and then we're like shoving it into the DOM. So it is target int.
Then we're pulling up the number. Okay.
So then we can probably use triple equals, but maybe we want to be. What's your opinion on that? Be strict as possible, or?
Yeah. So my opinion is to always be as strict as possible. Limiting ourselves is really what's going to make our life better and easier, right? So, now instead of in TypeScript, right, if we were to give it a type, when we use double equals, we're essentially saying it's going to be either number or string. It's much better to say that it's going to be string or string or number, but not both. And that makes our life, that way when we call methods on it down the road, we don't have to worry about what methods we're calling and are we going to be corrupting the data, and it simplifies things.
All right, so then we'll stick with 3, or we'll take 3.
I'll be honest, like I have forgotten the difference between double equals and triple equals. Like, what is the difference, Dylan?
Yeah, so it's really, if you look at data types behind the scenes, there's a whole bunch of stuff happening, but to simplify it, it's a double equals is really just checking a value to see if it's the same. Now, if we have string 5 and number 5, the value is 5. Now, if you go and you could, essentially call toString on it, that's what's really happening in the background, saying 5 and 5. With triple equals, you're sort of checking a type and value. This is something that's kind of unique to JavaScript and something you should know, because other programming languages have no idea that this would even be a thing, right? So in triple equals, that would be a falsy statement right there, because we're checking the type, which is string and number. And even though the values are similar or the same, being 5, that would actually be a false statement. But with a double equals, this is now a true statement, because all we really care about is the value here.
So JavaScript would call .toString on that number 5 and just compare the string 5 and 5, basically.
Yeah, more or less.
If you wanted the code to be more robust against like future changes, or if it was a user input especially, you would want to use triple equals.
Yeah, so you almost always want to use triple equals. So most linters that you'll be using, they'll sort of automate some of these clean code stuff we're talking about. This will be something that it will say, hey, like use triple equals, and the code base would rather have you handle that scenario than just open it up to more options. But yeah, so typically most linters will actually enforce a triple equals. Maybe for this demo, who knows? So we might actually have to do double equals or handle the code properly to do that.
Yeah, and do you think? I saw in the chat now that someone asked about this I here, because maybe it's a little bit confusing that we're using the I here. We're just putting it in here and reading this function without having the context of the I here. Do you think is that a good argument? The name of the argument, or would you do something else?
Yeah, so like in our case, how we're actually using this I is that's the current number, right? Or current current wheel number. That's much more descriptive than I, right? Like, you think of I, you think of index. Index of what, right? Like every for loop ever? Like what are we doing for I? However, and we talk about this in the course as well, about when to use sort of limited scope variables. Like up above on line 33, we have I. That's much more understandable. But as you go and you have a function where you're passing that I to, that's going to be used, you have a much better understanding now that like, oh, I don't have to jump through the code to see what this is. This is the current number that we're stopping on. And and it may take a couple times. Like this is something that as you go through it, like current number may not even be like current number of what. Maybe a better number, as we're sort of iterating here, is user selected number, right? And then now we're getting much closer to what it actually is that we are going for. And I equal to target int is a little bit harder to understand than user selected number equal to like our target int. We know exactly what's happening and what's doing, and our code is much more readable, which is really the intent of clean code.
It's a great point. So here we see if it is equal, then we know here, yes, then it is success. And we should, actually, we need to define this above here. We need to do result.inner HTML and do like success. Great job. And else. Didn't hit it. Try again. Okay. We tried.
Good luck. Sometimes, I mean, I guess if you use TypeScript, you'll have better confidence it works before you run, but this time we'll just run it and find out.
I realized I'd forgotten something here. I'd forgotten to actually add the number, set the number, or dive into the DOM and set that number. So think that is the spinning element, yes. So I think here we'll just set the spinning element, HTML, equal to I at this point.
I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Why are you passing 70? I mean, I know that that's the challenge Carla gave, so I'm kind of asking you to speculate, but why 75? Why are we passing that to sleep? Like, why do we even need that line? Like,
yeah, that was something Carla added for the user to decide for themselves, like how long we want the number to be visible until it flips to the next number. And I think 75 was just a good, not too hard. Like if you pass in 5 here, or I think like
good luck with that.
You're hardly, yeah, it's like really hard.
Oh my God, 50 oh, you went too close, actually. I can't see that well.
Here. Yeah, that worked though. And let's try 75 and see if we agree that it's still hard. 89. I'm going to try and hit it now.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about.
Oh,
that's pretty good.
That's on hard mode as well.
We discovered a bug though, because success, great job.
Where's your unit test, Per? Come on.
Yeah.
It's probably because our integers are off by 1 because of the array index. That'd be my guess.
Oh, really?
And so there's probably something in the code where
let's log out using selected num. Oops.
Let's see. All right.
Yes, it's stopping at 14 and 15 here. So
so we have user selected number. All right, and what is the target num? Is the target num, can we log out the target num? Because it was off by 1. We're making a comparison, so it's got to be
target int. That's here.
Yeah, target int. Yeah, if we log that out, if we log it out also, where
target int.
Yeah,
target int.
Yeah, right.
So log.
I'm just curious if what we are getting on the screen is actually similar to what we think it is. So if we open up the console, target int 68, user selected number is 14. Okay, so you can see here here's a little bug that we're off by 1. Our spinning wheel, what's displayed on the screen is 13, but what's actually the value is 14. So somewhere in our code,
maybe actually we should sleep. Have the sleep before that one, because we're kind of it's sleeping on the wrong number basically. No, that didn't work.
I think we got the intent. We know there's a bug. Someone in chat, very smart, will figure it out.
Yeah.
Right?
I guess we could. We know now that
Okay,
we know.
I mean, tell me what you think of this. Like, would it be okay just to add 1 to the number?
Like this.
So
We need to
I'm just
subtract.
gonna say when I ask, like, is that if I was solving this at home and I solve this problem, I think it's tempting to add 1. What do you think?
So I would say that is probably what you're doing right now is you're solving a problem without understanding the problem, and that causes a lot of problems. So now what you're doing is, especially if you're adding the -1 without understanding. So like, let's say you have to, because that actually makes sense.
We found. Sorry, someone said it. You were calling stop before updating the HTML. So we didn't set, we were here on number 18, for example, but we stopped it and then didn't update. Let's say we are in the 18th iteration.
So the number's right but the number on the page is wrong. Yeah.
We need to do
the number on the page is always going to be 1 behind.
Yeah, it's going to be 1 behind. So we do like that. 13. Yes.
There you go. Dylan, someone smart in the chat was always going to solve it. Yeah. This is like mob programming on a different level. Like 400 people solving 1 problem.
Can we give that guy something? Since he's the real MVP. Like
Sinan Sevgi. Yeah, I think Sinan Sevgi should get a semester on Scrimba for free.
That's it.
For sure.
He doesn't need it though. He's already a master.
I need it. We need it.
Yeah. So like to the original point about the -1. That's a perfect example of why you don't do something like that, because what you end up doing is having to juggle things in your code without understanding why you're juggling them, and it's a quick fix that then bites you in the butt down the road, right? So, oh wait, the -1's still there.
So we still maybe haven't solved it.
Oh no.
I think that's a great point, Dylan.
So we're going to leave this for the audience to solve. Because we got to keep the pace, and we're already over an hour here, and people are waiting for the winner. So we don't have more time.
And you got off lucky as well, I think, because I think the actual challenge was to calculate if you lose, how off were you? Were you 5 off? Were you 2 off? And so you get the easy. Even though it was challenging, it was still the easy version.
We'll come back and we'll write some unit tests for this and then figure it out as we go.
I like it.
For sure. So now we're going to announce a winner from the chat. So Leanne, we need to get her to send us. She has been looking at the chat and monitoring that closely, and have been looking for a winner. I'm going to send her a message right now.
Just to remind us, Per, because I think some people might have joined after we announced that. What is the criteria for winning from the chat?
Basically, just introducing yourself.
That's that all? Awesome. Is it too late? Is the competition over?
Now it is unfortunately over.
Okay. The real question is can you win, since you just did the final challenge as well? Is that just upset everybody, right? Like, got him. No.
All right, we have a winner, and that is Davor Jovanovic. Davor,
congratulations.
are you still there? Still there, Davor? Do we see him in the chat?
Davor in the chat.
I think it's a little bit delayed. No, David, now isn't it? Okay, we haven't seen Davor. Anyway, if you are in the chat,
there he is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he says, "Nice, I'm here. Thank you."
Congrats. We'll be in touch to make sure you get. What is the prize, Pat?
So it's an annual Scrimba membership.
Amazing! Congratulations.
All right. So for the prize everyone has been waiting for.
Well, I think it's me who gets the honor of picking the winner. And just to be clear, and I need to give you guys a bit of context there, I think, this is a raffle essentially. So the more times you entered, the greater the likelihood that you win. And the reason why it's a raffle is because we wanted to give everybody a fair shot, whether you are a beast who creates a 3D rolling animating dice, or whether you're only beginning, I think, and we all agree that you should have an equal chance of winning. And so the next thing to consider is that we invited you to submit your solutions with the JavaScriptmas hashtag on Twitter, on Facebook, and on LinkedIn. The mass majority of submissions are on Twitter, and I'll show you. And for that reason, I wrote a script which is going to scrape all of the JavaScriptmas posts from Twitter and pick a random winner, essentially. At that point, we are going to take a second to verify the winner to make sure that it is a unique solution and that the tests pass, basically. So we'll do that off screen, but to begin with, I can definitely share my screen and show you guys how we're going to go about picking the winner. And I'm going to pray to the demo gods that nothing goes wrong, because more often than not, when you try and demo some code you just worked on that you're very proud of, it's not going to go your way. So let's see how this goes. What do you reckon, guys? Is it going to work? Do you have faith in me?
I believe.
I believe in you.
I want to believe, like in the X-Files.
All right, let's try this out. So we use a tool called Track My Hashtag to pull down all the tweets. This, by the way, is an insane tidbit: 32,500 tweets, but not all of them are JavaScriptmas solutions necessarily. Once people started taking notes of JavaScriptmas, a lot of other people started using the hashtag for their other kinds of tweets. Also, some of these are retweets. And so we downloaded the CSV here, basically. And then I actually tried importing it into Google Sheets to add the Facebook and the LinkedIn posts. We calculated those separately because they account for much fewer submissions. We factored them in after. It turns out there are 144 submissions on Facebook and 400 on LinkedIn. So what I have here is and can you see me on the stream, by the way? Because now I'm sharing my code. I can't see the live stream so well. Cool. I wrote a script, basically, which uses this is a Node.js script, basically using JavaScript. And I use this NPM module called Papapass, very creative name, to pull in all of the CSV records. There's a few bits here that aren't so relevant, but essentially we're filtering out retweets because they don't count, essentially. And just to make sure we get a kind of rough indication that this tweets contains a submission, I'm just checking to see if it includes HTTPS. All links on Twitter use HTTPS, so, or at least if it's a Scrimba link, it will be HTTPS. So there's nothing to worry about there. If maybe you shared it using the HTTP protocol or something like that. Dylan, did I do okay? Is there any magic strings or numbers here?
No, it's looking good so far, man. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, we're basically factoring in the Facebook and LinkedIn posts. So I'll run the script in a second. It's going to pick out a random winner between December 1st and the cutoff point, which was 1 p.m. GMT today. And like I said, or two things, sorry, it might well be a LinkedIn or a Facebook post, in which case we'll go aside and do it. But statistically, it's pretty unlikely. It'll be pretty lucky if you went on LinkedIn or Facebook just based on the sheer numbers of things. And then I'll quickly verify the solution. So let's try this out. It might be a little bit anticlimactic.
This is the coolest, anticlimactic. This is the coolest way I think I've seen anyone win anything before.
Well, that's really good to hear. I was thinking, and it's funny, and I'm going to stall for a second just to build up a little bit more suspense, maybe, in the interest of a presentation. But I thought it'd be cool if, like, I did a for loop and basically like filtered through it and showed a bunch of submissions on the screen, and it would slow down gradually and then pick the winner. But I had a quick go at it, and actually writing the code to sleep the loop, like you did in Carla's challenge pair, would take a bit more time than I had, unfortunately. All right, what do you reckon? Oops. Where are they? Yeah. What is this?
Is it a bug again?
Yeah, but my terminal is literally just froze, and Control-C, Control-D doesn't do anything. CD code. Hashtag analyzer. You see the screen okay? You see the font?
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Please work, please work. Yes. Woo! All right. So this is from someone named Gaurav Bhagwani. Let's go to the tweet URL and just do a quick check to make sure this is, and this was submitted, I think, on the 12th of, or 16th of December. So halfway through the challenge. It's crazy, right? Because you could have won if you submitted it on the first day or if you submitted today. Anyway, this might not, let's have a look. Yeah, and let's just hold on 1 second to verify this real quick. So what I'm going to do is open the link and make sure, first of all, that the test passes.
The love-hate relationship with JavaScript, I think some people can relate to quite a bit.
Oh, this is
Oh
quite
no,
brutal. This is actually kind of brutal.
it doesn't pass.
It doesn't pass.
Oh, because
Oh,
I
all
didn't.
right, all right, all right. I was gonna feel for
Whoa,
my dude
whoa.
right now.
All right, all right. Hold on. Let me just quickly switch the view here as well, if I can. Oh, you guys are all invisible already. Nice. And then the other thing I'll do is I'm just going to quickly search on Twitter to make sure this scrim hasn't been submitted twice, basically, because you're only allowed to submit each solution one time. And I think that will be a fair test. And let's just have a quick check.
Phew.
Awesome. Gaurav Bhagwani, congratulations. You are the winner. We will DM you on Twitter, essentially. And yeah, please join us in the chat and celebrating Gaurav. Gaurav, sorry.
$1,000 and Scrimba for life.
Amazing. Damn,
What
I can't
would
believe
you
that
guys,
worked.
blow $1,000 on if you won that today?
Pardon?
What would you blow $1,000 on if you won that today? I think I would buy a Remarkable 2 and a PlayStation 5.
What's a Remarkable 2?
It's those neat-looking tablets, which almost like a paper book, but it's like a much better Kindle to write on.
That sounds pretty awesome.
Super neat. Yeah.
Damn. I think do you know what I fancy is like one of those brand new M1 MacBooks. They look pretty sick.
Need a couple of thousand then.
Oh yeah, like, well, I'll put it towards it, I guess. Like, what about you, Dylan?
You know, I just got something really cool. I'd recommend a lot of people get. I got like an inflatable hot tub for like $400, and it's the best $400 I've spent. I highly recommend it if like you just want something fun to throw out on the patio, you want a little jacuzzi, but you don't want to go drop a ton of money. That'd be my recommendation. So
Sounds pretty awesome. Wait, how does it stay hot? Like, where does the heat come from?
It's electric. You plug it into a prong, gets up to 104. It comes with everything: the tub, the heater, the jets, the chlorine. It's a good time, and it's like I highly recommend for those of you looking for a last minute Christmas gift. Check it out.
Last minute, literally.
We're expecting a picture of Gaurav in his tub playing the PlayStation 5.
You get a PS5 and an inflatable hot tub. That sounds like a good way to end 2020, if you ask me.
Damn it, that's amazing. All right, well, yep. Thank you so much, everybody who competed. I do want to offer commiserations because, you know, on one hand, there were just so many awesome submissions. The sheer volume of submissions was crazy. It was only going to be one winner. But we have also given away, how many annual Scrimba memberships have we given away, Per? I think we've given away one every day.
Yeah, so it's 24 at least, because we haven't had a double. 24 actually, I think, because we had double one day, but not today. So 24.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, everybody, for submitting. And even if you didn't win, I mean, knowledge is priceless, right, Dylan?
There you go. I mean, that's the real winner at the end of the day. What you're going to learn, how you're going to become a better developer, and how that's going to change your life. Oftentimes, people are going from very humble beginnings, and they're chasing a goal and a dream of becoming a software engineer and transforming their life. And this is just one step in that direction. So everybody's a winner in my book.
Totally, and one actually real story which got someone posted on Discord today. One of the people who are in the front end developer career path and also who participated in JavaScriptmas just went from working on a cruise ship to being hired as a remote developer in a San Francisco-based startup. And he lives in Mexico himself, and I can imagine that was a good, nice bonus paycheck for him, and just out of pure just by working every day, improving his skills, doing the JavaScriptmas, doing the challenges, doing the career path, applying for jobs, he changed his life. So congrats to I don't remember his name, but congrats to you.
We need to blast it on social media and show people just how transformative that was, because that's incredible. You said he was a cruise ship worker.
Yep.
That's an industry which in March, April just vanished off the face of the earth, right? And honestly, I think there's so many industries like that, whether it's to do with media, you know, theater, that kind of stuff, actors, or any other number of industries where you were really needed to be in person that just vanished. And rather than receive support. They were asked to retrain. I feel like we're all privileged. We're so privileged to be able to work from home remotely, working on tech and that kind of thing. And I'm really proud that I get to be a part of helping other people make that same transition in their lives. And JavaScriptmas, I think it's really in that spirit.
Yeah, and I think one thing that you can take away from that is like it's all about mentality, right? It'd be very easy to be like, oh, the industry I'm in got devastated, and I'm out of work. Woe is me. Oh, I feel bad, pity me, right? Instead, he said, I'm going to go and transform my life. I'm going to take this unfortunate, I'm going to take lemons, I'm going to make lemonade, sort of thing. And now he's in a better position, I would imagine, than he was before, working on a cruise ship with a lot more opportunities and just getting started. Like, that's the thing, is like one thing, like so often we're just so focused on getting that first junior level role, but there's things after that. And it only gets better.
Yeah. Actually, I saw that he actually started in April. So it took that. He did, as you said, like he probably was laid off or something when the cruise ship industry just plummeted. And in just like a little over half a year. That's amazing.
It's very quick.
So I guess the only thing that remains then is to say Merry JavaScriptmas to everyone.
Merry JavaScriptmas. What do you think? Is this going to catch on? Do you think next year before December we're going to?
I'm telling you, it's time to copyright it. That's you gotta copyright the JavaScriptmas.
It just rolls off the tongue, kind of.
Cheers, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us in the chat. Keep an eye on your inbox. We have some important emails coming your way, especially if you're doing the JavaScriptmas post listing all your solutions. I'm going to send you a link where you can submit your challenges, or your solutions rather, in order to claim your certificate and Discord badge. And in truth, we're not going to close that window until I think the end of next week, right? Towards the beginning of the new year. And so if you want to go back and solve some previous challenges, obviously you can't win anymore, but you can certainly learn and build your eligibility for a certificate, an exclusive certificate and a Discord badge. So that'll be something cool to do, along with obviously checking out Dylan's course on writing clean code. Merry JavaScriptmas, everybody.
Yep. Happy holidays.
Cheers.
Bye. You just couldn't say Merry JavaScriptmas, could you, Dylan?
Merry JavaScriptmas, and hopefully next year, Merry TypeScriptmas as well.
Ooh.